Hey, my name's Nathan James from Inglorious, and our new album 5 is out soon, really soon. 6 to
Really soon indeed. Soon indeed, my friend. How are you, Nathan? Thanks for joining us.
really good, mate. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. So, as you say, Inglorious release your fifth studio album, the appropriately titled V or Five in Roman numerology, this Friday, June the 6th. So, how you feeling so close?
I feel pretty good actually. Yeah, the reviews are so far have been great, and I love the album. I think it's a really, really strong album from us. So yeah, I'm looking forward to people hearing it.
Nice. And it says you reunite with original bass player and main co-writer Colin Parkinson. So, what impact did that have on the album?
I think anyone that knows us will know when they hear this album that he is back for the sound of his bass, but also the songwriting. He's so crucial to the early kind of songwriting in this band, and he's done such a great job. He also produced this record as well.
Okay, nice, nice. So, can you dive into the album a bit deeper from a musical point of view and tell us what you were going for?
We want to do something a bit heavier, and I think this is our fifth album now, hence the name. I think it's good to constantly be pushing yourselves, and also just the subject matter that we had to write about now in like a kind of post-COVID world. It's just heavier. Everything's a bit heavier, so it made total sense to write riffs and stuff that were more in that vein, and also bringing someone in like Richard on the guitar. It made sense to have a heavy guitar player play this stuff, and I think that's why it sounds a bit different maybe to previous albums.
Yeah, nice. Now, it's your first album back since the band went on a hiatus in 2022. So, was that always going to be temporary, or did you honestly not know if you're going to come back?
It was always going to be temporary. I knew I was going to do another album. Um, it just at the time it was impossible. It was so hard to tour and to do anything. Like it was really hard. Um, and I wanted to be in a better kind of frame of mind than we were then. Like touring during kind of COVID was just
Oh,
crazy.
yeah. Would have pushed you off completely.
Yeah.
Nice. Now, this album also welcomes new members to the Inglorious family in guitarist Richard Shaw and drummer Henry Rogers. So, introduce us to them and tell us what they bring to Inglorious.
I've known Henry for quite some time. He's an incredible drummer. He won Classic Rock Prog's Drummer of the Year years ago. He's just can play absolutely anything, and he's also a good friend of mine. So what I needed from a drummer was someone who was like incredibly versatile, but also had the chops to play this kind of hard rock metal stuff really well. Henry definitely does that, and with Richard, we kind of went for a few choices on guitar player, and I thought of him. He's someone that I've known of for years, and he's known for kind of being in very heavy bands. He was in Cradle of Filth, so
Okay.
I approached him and said to him, "Hey, like, I'd love you in the band." And I didn't know what he'd say because it's kind of quite different to Cradle, but it turns out he's a very well-rounded player, and doesn't uh, he loves this stuff. He loves classic rock. He loves everything. He's a real well-versed musician, so he was a great fit as well. And he's also a really nice guy, and it's been fun making this album with these two guys because they've been so chill and so easy to get on with.
Yeah, nice. Now, we're going to change direction a bit here now, mate, and do an interactive album review of these. So basically, I'm going to read through Heavy's review one track at a time, and you can tell me if I'm on the right track and then tell us a bit more about the song. Is that all right?
Yep.
All right. So I'll start with my intro, and then I'll go into the first song. So I first stumbled across Inglorious when they released their third album, Ride to Nowhere, in 2019. I was fresh into the driver's seat at Heavy and as such was overwhelmed with a constant barrage of new material from bands I didn't even know existed. I remember trying to listen to as many as I could to see what I'd been missing out on, and although there was some great music from bands of a wide variety of genres, there was one that stood out above most others. And it was by a rock outfit from the UK called Inglorious. Now, I'm pretty sure the song I listened to was She Won't Let You Go, and I was instantly hooked. Here was a band with all the rock meatiness you can handle, delivered by a silky smooth yet authoritative voice and an irresistible swagger that I'm pretty sure led to me reaching out to the label to request an interview with the band. I quickly digested the back catalogue of music and was just as blown away by the older material. So in 2022, when Inglorious announced a hiatus, I remember cursing the rock gods in anger for taking another of the scene's shining lights away. So imagine my delight and restored faith in humanity when a press release landed on my desk a month or so ago announcing a new Inglorious album. Again, I went against protocol and reached out to the band via their label, and once more, vocalist Nathan James agreed to shoot the shit with me out here in Australia. So the least I can do is listen to the new album V, which is due out on June 6th, and give my thoughts. Kicking off with Testify, an ominous burst of reverb soon dissipates as the band fire up, seemingly intent on making up for lost time. Already there's a sense of urgency present, with returning original bass player Colin Parkinson joining new family members, guitarist Richard Shaw and drummer Henry Rogers. It doesn't take long for frontman Nathan James to step up to the plate, and an instant sense of familiarity rushes through my ears, and the rock world suddenly seems right again. James is one of those voices that most of us are insanely jealous of. His ability to shift between harmonics and soaring high notes to the kind of rock-drenched vocals that can raise the Titanic are not only the cornerstone of Inglorious' sound, but also the benchmark for aspiring rock vocalists the world over.
That is very kind.
You're welcome.
Um, yeah, super kind. I. It's so cool that people are hearing it. By the way, you're one of the few people that I've spoken to that's actually heard the album. So it's awesome to hear your review. Um, Testify then. Track one is it's the announcement basically of us being back. That's why we chose it as the first song. It's kind of got that open verse, the first verse. There's a big riff, then it's just my voice, and then it's big riff, which was all kind of done on purpose to be at the beginning of the album.
Right.
And also, if you listen, it starts with Colin's bass, which is kind of telling the fans that he's
Right.
back. Do you know what I mean? I wanted to make it like we wanted to make it that people knew that Colin was back, and you can hear that from the first second of this track.
Yeah, nice. Now, Eat You Alive follows and begins with some nice harmonies before Shaw gets his groove on and the niceties quickly fade into obscurity. This track is dirty and tough as fuck, just the way we like it. The swirling guitar riff dominates proceedings as James' voice rises, falls, bites and scratches its way to the fore, adding a vocal accompaniment befitting of such a frenetic opening salvo. As the chorus kicks in, the song pulls back a bit, which from past experience is a feature of Inglorious' music. The band refused to let any one song fade into mediocrity or become repetitive with subtle changes of vocal urgency and delivery, acting as a sonic segue between musical harsh and light. I'm not sure if it is a deliberate tactic by the band or just their natural writing style, or whatever it is, it works, so don't mess with it. It seems Shaw is intent on reaffirming his status as a new Inglorious axeman as he launches into a tasty guitar solo that leads into a mini breakdown of sorts that could almost go anywhere before another guitar run sets things back on track, and James returns to the fold to act as a buffer of sorts for whatever carnage is simmering beneath.
Very cool. Yeah, Richard, it's the first time that people really get to hear Richard solo on the record, and it's an unbelievable solo. From the kind of old school Inglorious fans, this is a real nod at that kind of early bluesy, kind of Whitesnakey stuff that we loved on the first and second record. It's definitely got that feel to it, and in the verse, it's kind of free. It's not so melodic; it's more bluesy, shouty. But yeah, I'm glad you're picking up on all these things. It's really cool.
If I can keep it going. So, Devil Inside is next, and I strangely find myself wondering if Inglorious have decided to cover our own in excess. But that thought is immediately tossed aside when Shaw rips into a tough as fuck guitar run that sets a tone for a dose of potential heaviness. This is definitely a track born from the more hard rock recesses of the Inglorious catalogue, but despite the heavy undertones, James manages to keep things more in the realm of hard rock than metal, despite Shaw, Rogers and Parkinson doing their best to ignite the metal with a massively heavy undercurrent. So far on V, Inglorious are on absolute fire, with each member complementing the musical whims and desires of their bandmates to create an underlying sense of menace that drives the belly of the beast.
Amazing. Yeah, it's a great song. I think what people should like by this time in the album start to realize is that the choruses are so important to us. So writing a big chorus and a melodic chorus in amongst the kind of chaos of the meaty riffs and the heavy music is still important.
Yeah.
And that song in particular, has got harmonies. You know what I mean? It's got different things going on to it, so it does feel lush in those moments. But then it goes into that really heavy, naughty riff. So yeah, that's that one. I love that one. That was the second single we released actually from this album.
Oh, cool. Say What You Want to Say bursts out of the blocks with a rapid opening salvo that carries through as James enters the fray with a different vocal approach that almost sounds like he's singing through a megaphone. Whatever it is, it's a fresh and impactful turn of events that reeks of anger and frustration, even if it does sound a little humorous being delivered with a British accent. This is a pumping hard rock tune that is relentless throughout, awash with guitar solos and bass runs. It is a powerful and definitive stick strokes from drummer Rogers that is the backbone of this track, acting as judge, jury, and executioner for the rest of the band as he guides them from one rocky slope to the other without ever feeling displaced. Personal favourite so far.
Oh, good. Yeah, this was something that I'd never really done on a track before. The kind of almost talking. And it was actually Colin's idea, I think, because we were trying to write a vocal melody for the verse and nothing felt right. It kind of had to be shouty and angry.
Okay.
And as soon as I took all melody away from it, it made kind of more sense. So that's why we kept that, and it has that, the megaphone kind of effect on the vocal.
Oh, cool! I got it
Which
right.
is just again something we hadn't done before. So I thought it was cool to try different things, and then when it does open up again in the chorus, it's a real good contrast between the two kind of different sections.
Yeah, cool. Okay, Believe is listed next, and for some reason I get the overwhelming sensation that this could be the token album ballad. And from the subdued acoustic strains that herald the song's arrival, I know I'm on the right track. But a slow burner from Inglorious is much better than most of the obligatory album ballads, and so far, this one isn't too bad. It has a strangely familiar feel that I can't put my finger on. Maybe it's a cover or a cover of a cover. Fuck knows, but I do know it's a tidy little number full of angst and pain that James delivers in a higher pitch than usual throughout, which only adds to the moment of intimacy. As the track progresses and toughens up in places, but never enough to drain the emotion from its intended focus. It is enough to keep an old anti-ballad crusader like myself interested, and I'm glad I listened through to the end because there are flashes of vocal brilliance from James that rise above the pain and anguish to instill a strange sense of contentment that I guess is what most ballads strive for.
Thank you. That means a lot coming from you.
You're welcome.
It is the ballad. It isn't a cover of a cover. It is pretty obviously all songs now. I'm sure there's things borrowed, but Colin actually, when he originally kind of demoed this to me, he was like, "I've got this idea, but it sounds a bit like a Mariah Carey song." And I was like, "Huh?" I was really confused. I was like, "I can't sing that." And then he played it to me, and I was like, "Actually, this is wicked." It had a great melody for the chorus. And I thought everyone's going to love singing along to it. It's also kind of the most harmony-rich song. There's all sorts of different layers over the end, and it's kind of a moment of lushness after what have been four kind of incredibly heavy songs. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it's a good break. It's also the end of the first half of the vinyl. So if you're turning the vinyl, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's
perfect.
why it comes there.
Nice. Now, Stand has the opportunity to get my blood pumping again and doesn't disappoint. A nice bass run leading us back into hard rock territory. This is a strange number so far, and although I am enjoying it, I have no idea where it is going to go. I can tell you it's a swirling maelstrom of anarchistic intent with a gentle swagger of groove that is accentuated by the continuously cool as fuck bass run from Parkinson that dictates terms throughout. 1 minute Stand chugs along into almost new metal territory before withdrawing into itself and morphing into something more resembling the blues fraternity before rapidly gaining momentum and returning to hard rock town. It's sonically confusing as fuck, but also irresistibly captivating in a sense that the whole song almost seems like a rudderless ship sailing through treacherous waters, but still strong enough to find a safe passage. Strange analogy, I know, but it's also a strange song. Awesome, yes, but also strange.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's definitely different for us as well. It's why I chose it as the first single as well. It's because I wanted to kind of show people something different. It's mega groovy. It's almost like in the middle, there's a breakdown that almost has got like a Michael Jackson quality to it. It's like kind of totally different to anything we've done before. And Colin originally, when he played me the riff, he said, "I don't know if this is right, but like, see what you think." And I said, "I love it." I said, "I absolutely love it." And I started humming things already, like as soon as he played me the demo. And from then on, um, I knew it was going to be a, I knew it was going to be a great tune. And it's currently on Planet Rock's playlist here in the UK, so
Oh,
I was
nice.
kind of right about it being radio friendly. It's also a bit hasn't got a solo. It's kind of a bit different in that respect. Again, as you can, I think people are now realizing we've tried a few different things on this record.
And they've all worked so far too.
That's good.
Cool. Okay. In Your Eyes could also be a slow song, but if there's one thing I know about Nathan James and his band Inglorious, is that they prefer a good party to a sob story any day. So I'm hoping that rings true here. And from the moment a savage chug from shore fills the landscape, I know my assessment of James is correct. This has more of an old school rock vibe to it, complete with soaring vocals that have become a trademark of Inglorious' sound. But James must also subscribe to the less is more ethos, because it would be easy for him to show off his vocal prowess and range to the point of annoyance, yet he maintains control of his senses enough to use these tools more for effect rather than saturation. A powerful voice only remains powerful when used to highlight parts of the song, not obsessively control it. But what do I know? If I could sing like that, I'd probably overuse the hell out of it too, just because I can.
I have finally learned the art of not overusing it. On album, it took 5 albums, but we got there. Um, no, albums 1 and 2 from us, I listened back to it and I go, what the hell was I doing? Like it's just so much singing. And I've kind of really reined that in on this record. Um, because I don't know, taste changes, like, and I feel like back then I just wanted to show off all my ability, and now what I want to do is serve these songs. And
Yeah, right.
I think something like that. In Your Eyes is a cool song. It's about getting absolutely smashed with your friends. So it is a party song. And yeah, I loved writing this one. Super melodic as well, like from Colin again. I think it's so cool that we can have an album that has something as heavy as like Devil Inside and Eat You Alive, and also have something that's like this kind of happy and major and up tempo, and it's I think the kind of balance of this is wicked.
It is. All right. Silent could be a slab of quiet nothingness and veers in that direction initially, with a more delicate opening that I'm sure Inglorious have thrown in just to get me on edge. Things do steer quickly into more rock territory, but a tasty morsel is all Inglorious are offering, as Believe continues down a more meaningful path that, I guess, is warranted to combat the hard rock extremities that have punctuated V so far. This is a sultry and purposeful track that I'm guessing has a much deeper meaning, with James seemingly intent on getting silence from someone or somewhere, judging by the number of times he demands it. It's a strangely comforting song despite my obvious need for something meatier, and I shall quietly sit back and nod in approval at what is actually a damn fine track. But keep that between us, please.
It's it is an interesting track. I think lyrically, I initially struggled because I kind of wrote the word silent with Colin. Colin said, "What about this? Silent." And I was like, "Yeah, that's a great idea." And it's actually kind of about that. Sorry, this is really lovely. You're not going to like this. It's about that moment where you the world where you meet someone who's going to change your life and the whole world stops and there is silence and you just are like you can't focus on anything else but that person has just entered your life, and it's about that kind of moment basically.
End of the Road is almost that, but it's the second last song from the end, so it's possibly meant to be misleading. Fuck knows, but my computer is loading slightly tonight for some reason, so I have time on my hands to analyse such things, sorry. It kicks in with a rabbit punch to the throat, a quick drum smash enticing short of the fall before the rhythm section go off in a robust tangent with all roads leading to Rock City. James eases into the picture, his voice almost an instrument of its own that guides the song through calmer waters that are frequently drowned out in tidal waves of intent. This song runs the gamut of emotions at Inglorious's disposal, from soaring guitar solos to meticulous gatekeeping on drums, to a fat as fuck bass line that keeps the wheels firmly on the ground. Inglorious are the masters of building a narrative with their music that allows James to interject and sprinkle the mood with vocal increments that ultimately decide the final destination of each song. Theirs is a sonic journey of disparity that is bound together by a common musical thread that is impossible to teach and difficult to perfect.
So this song and the next song were actually two songs that Inglorious kind of demoed years ago that Colin brought to the table. And End of the Road we just couldn't write at the time into a good song. I couldn't find anything that melody-wise that went on it. Then Colin came back with this and with these ideas, and I was like, that's now awesome. So yeah, this song's actually been around for a long time, and it kind of has that early Inglorious feel to it, I think, which is kind of nice to put near the end of the album, just as a reminder to everyone that look, we're still here. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, cool. Power of Truth breezes out next on the back of some soft and delicate guitar play that has an almost flamenco feel to it. I have to admit it isn't the closing shot I was hoping Inglorious would fire off, but full respect to the band for throwing a curveball into the mix. Despite every bone in my body screaming to say different, I'm actually really enjoying the peaceful nature of the track before James and co throw yet another curveball that smacks me square between the eyes as they turn up the heat considerably without warning. It's a powerful segue that only serves to add further depth to the song, which in turn showcases yet another side of Inglorious's musical psyche. The song drifts between subtlety and abrasiveness before trailing off into the distance, leaving a sense of unfinished business that I'm sure Inglorious plan to rectify in the not-so-distant future. V is a fitting return to the fold for a band who should be anointed into the top shelf of rock royalty, and if they keep producing albums like this, that will only be a matter of when, not if.
Very kind. So Power of Truth actually is another one that Colin originally kind of wrote the music for it and presented it to the band for the third album.
Okay.
And I flat out refused it. I said no because I didn't like the fact it was in a time signature. It was a bit different. It wasn't 4/4. It wasn't straight ahead like we're used to. And then he went away and came back with it kind of presented like this. And my mind was just blown. I thought, yeah, now's the time to do this. Also, I think Colin at the time wrote this song about like his frustrations about being in the band. So it was really personal for me to sing it now after 5 years or 4 years or something. And to kind of voice some of his words was really powerful. So it was basically one take in the studio, and I'm really proud of my vocal on this one particularly. I poured my heart and soul into it, so hopefully people will hear that.
Very nice, bro. And have you got any shows coming up to launch the album?
Yeah, we've got shows this week. The release day Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Friday, Saturday, then Monday, Tuesday. And then we've got a festival next month, and we're just going to see how it goes and then look at doing some more tour dates later in the year.
All right, Nathan. Well, thanks very much for your time, bro. It's been a pleasure catching up again. The album V is out Friday, June the 6th. And if you didn't hear the review, it's an absolute fucking cracker. So best of luck, brother, and welcome back.
Thank you, man. Have a good day.